Hello and welcome to episode 145 of the All Systems Go Sports Betting Podcast, powered by Rhythm. I'm your host, Josh Appelbaum. What's going on, everyone? Happy Monday. A new week begins as we head down the home stretch here of October. Before you know it, there'll be trick-or-treaters knocking at your door. Halloween season. It is peak foliage. If you are in New England, you know what I'm talking about. All the nice, orange, yellows, reds. If you don't live in New England, you probably should visit sometime in the fall. But it is a great time of year to be betting on sports. We had a heck of a weekend. We got a lot to talk about on today's podcast, and we're going to see if we can keep our hot streak going here. Because looking toward tonight, kind of interesting slate. Now, we have a doubleheader in the NFL. So we have two games here, Baltimore, Tampa Bay at 8:15, Chargers and the Arizona Cardinals at 9 o'clock. But that's about it. I was looking for an NHL play because we're hot here in the NHL, but there's only one game, not much movement. It really is annoying to me that tomorrow we have 16 NHL games. Couldn't you give me 8 today and 8 tomorrow? I don't know why you got to give me 1 today and 16 tomorrow. Anyway, I won't argue with the schedule makers, but we do have the NBA returning tomorrow. Knicks, Celtics, T-Wolves, Lakers. I want to go over again after we talk about the Monday Night Football doubleheader. I want to give you again my two NBA win total bets that I'm holding in pocket. I also want to mention that Rhythm, who does a great job of powering this pod, just went live with their NBA predictions. So all their player props and game bets are now live in the app. So welcome back NBA as NBA returns tomorrow. And then we have WNBA. Season is over with. We have baseball, which give it a couple days here. I'm kind of annoyed we got to wait until Friday, but Yankees-Dodgers, which should be a good matchup here. East Coast, West Coast, two big historic franchises. And then, of course, before you know it, we're going to get some college basketball. So tonight it's going to be all NFL, but whole point in me kind of mentioning all the sports is that get ready. It's about to be very, very busy in the life of a sports bettor. So I'm very much looking forward to it. For tonight, I got a 3-pack for you guys, all NFL. So I have 2 plays on the early game, Baltimore, Tampa Bay. I got to play on the side, and I got a player prop. And then I got to play on the total in the Chargers-Arizona game. So I'm hoping that with our 3-pack, we can find a way to go 2-1 and eke out a winning day. Now, looking back toward the weekend, number one, I want to thank everyone who tuned in to the Rhythm live stream, Sunday Sweats. It was a great day for my guy James Santor, who crushed it with his dog model. Even some trendy dogs, unfortunately, came through. But as always, that is a 11 a.m. Eastern time to noon live stream on Twitter. You can just log right in, click the live stream. You can throw out some questions at us. We always go over the player props and late game day bets. So I always am thankful and really happy when I see some names that I recognize join the chat. So if you missed it this week, no worries. We'll be back at it for next week. Now, last time we talked, guys, we continued our hot streak. Friday was our 4th straight winning day on the pod, if you remember. That was a 2-1-1 day plus 0.53 units. Had a couple great wins with Oklahoma State plus 9.5. They should have won that game. They lost it, but covered the number. Hurricanes in hockey. That was our 5th straight hockey win. FSU could not cover, and Nevada pushed the 3, but that was a winning Friday. Another good Saturday, 3-1 plus 1.3 units. Had a nice hit with Elise Reed and biting in the UFC with a good line move as well as a big youth advantage. Auburn came up bigly, and the key with Auburn was I was very proud of the fact that we got a good number early in the week because Auburn ended up losing by 4. Now, why is that important? Because if you got the 4.5, which you talked about earlier in the week, you cashed that Auburn bet. Unfortunately, I think they closed 3.5 or even 3. You get it late, you lose. So the importance of not just picking the right side, but getting the best number. Also got South Carolina, the Cox getting it done. Plus 3. They closed -1. Dog to fave absolutely rolled. Lost Arkansas. So it was a 3-1, 1.3 unit Saturday. Sunday, 1-2, minus 1.3 units. Got the Packers. That's why you moneyline short favorites. But the Vikings blew it late. And the SOJ, same old Jets, just pathetic. You start off pretty hot, and then you just get rolled. And there I was with the Jets. Even though I moneyline and beat the closing line at round of 2, they closed 2.5. But this just goes to show you guys, as I want to mention it before we get into our sweats for tonight, but we have seen a 2-week stretch for the public that I don't remember seeing anything like this in quite a while. Favorites. Easiest way to tell where the public is, first is by favorites versus dogs, and then we're going to talk about bet percentages. But favorites in the NFL. Weeks 1 through 4, they weren't very good. 27-35 against the spread, 44%. We were humming with a lot of dogs weeks 1 to 4. Weeks 5 to 7, so week 5 until now, favorites are 27-13 against the spread, 68%. So chalk is crushing it. Second straight big week for the public. The top 6 public plays at BetMGM went 6-0 against the spread. 83% on the Eagles -3, 79% on the Commanders -9.5, 72% on Bengals -5.5. Here are your trendy dogs. 72% on Lions +1.5, 70% on Chiefs +1.5, 63% on Bills -9.5. So it's just been a weird couple weeks here. A lot of favorites. The public is saying the sports betting thing is pretty damn easy. You just take the quote-unquote better team and you become a millionaire. Well, they're getting the last laugh right now, but will that continue? I know it won't continue. We're going to see some regression. It's just the question is how long until we see that take place, because tonight, 65% of bets are on Baltimore, -3.5, -4. 69% are on the Chargers, -1, -1.5. So with that being said, let's look at some sweats here for tonight. Let's see if we can keep it rolling and get our week off started right. So, doubleheader tonight, all Monday Night Football, and then I am going to talk a little bit of NBA with some win totals. You might have probably already know them. Maybe you played them, maybe you didn't. I hope you played one of them because the line already moved a little bit. But first game on the board, Baltimore and Tampa Bay, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. First game here tonight. And we have the Ravens coming in 4-2. Remember, they started 0-2. They've now won 4 straight. Just took down the Commanders 30-23. They pushed as a 7-point home favorite. Meanwhile, the Bucks 4-2. Just crushed the Saints 51-27, easily covering as a 3.5-point road favorite. So what have we seen across the market here? Well, even though favorites, popular teams, road favorites have been crushing it, this line's coming back to the contrarian home dog. So can we finally get a dog to bark? Guys, I'm taking the points of Tampa Bay. Baltimore, across the market, is getting 65% of spread bets. This is the public who's had 2 good weeks in a row saying this thing's easy. Baltimore's the better team. Lay the points with Baltimore. That is a 5-second handicap. But here's my question. If Baltimore is getting 2/3 of bets and they open -4.5, even saw one book open -5, why is the line down to 3.5 or 4? Why is the line moving toward Tampa if Tampa is the contrarian play? Why are the odds makers dropping the line to make it easier for the public to cover when they're already playing Baltimore to begin with and they've already had 2 really good weeks in a row? Tells me that the odds makers have taken a position on Tampa Bay, moving the number in favor of the Bucks, even though Baltimore is the popular bet. Aside from that reverse line move, line going to Tampa, even though they're only getting around 1/3 of bets, you have a great contrarian play here just in general. Tampa bet against the public after public's been crushing it. But also primetime dogs. Now they haven't been great this year, but they are 55% against the spread since 2020. Maybe you put a little more stock into this system here, the Baker Mayfield as a dog. When Baker Mayfield is getting points, he's 2-1 against the spread this year, but he's 11-5 against the spread, 69% as a dog since joining the Bucks. Now, we've also seen some over money show up here. This total opened around 47. It's been bet up to 50. And the over's getting a lot of bets in dollars, around 80% of bets in dollars. The Ravens are 5-1 to the over, best in the NFL. The Bucks are 4-2 to the over, 6th best in the NFL. So my question with the total is, do we see this get up to 50.5? Is there buyback where it gets back down to 49.5? Now, there are some systems here that would lead you to the under. Again, remember, it opened around 47. So if you're playing the over, yes, you're with the line move, but you're also getting the worst of the number. If you do want to go contrarian and play the under, only getting around 25% of bets, you do have primetime unders 47 or more, 57% this season. When you have a primetime game in general, those have cashed at a pretty good clip. Now, weather, it's going to be clear, 75 degrees tonight, but you will have a little bit of wind, 10 miles per hour. That being said, I don't want anything to do with the total. It did rise, and I kind of want to be with that sharp move, but also if I'm playing the over, I'm getting the worst of the number after it's moved. You could bite your lip and go under. To me, I'm waiting on buyback. Like, if you do start to see it get down to 49.5, that could be an indication of late money breaking under. But my play here, guys, after a couple weeks, and really one thing I kind of was, I don't know, a little gun shy, maybe a little bit with just I liked all 3 plays quite a bit over the weekend. Packers, Vikes, Jets. Said, hey, can we get 2 out of 3? Obviously only got 1 out of 3 with the Packers, and that was dicey, obviously. But there are a couple other games that I was like, man, I really like Seattle +3. That's a line freeze. I didn't play it. They end up winning and covering. Then there's one more. KC, I don't kick myself too much. That line actually went to 2.5 San Fran. But when I was in the Super Bowl in Vegas, I took the position of Mahomes as a dog, so that happened to cash once again. The other one was, I think it was the Raiders +7 contrarian. They end up losing by 5. And then who was it? Feel like there's one more. Cleveland ended up losing by 7. I want to say that line got as high as 6.5. Maybe it was really just the Seattle game I was kicking myself for not playing. But either way, I don't think it's ever a problem to limit your bets. I just feel like we're in kind of this weird, eye of the storm right now where these obvious public favorites and public plays are covering, so I didn't want to push it too much. But with that being said, I am going to go with Tampa tonight. The easy bet is just play Baltimore with all this public, road favorite systems or favorite action coming through right now. But if the public's crushing it and public's on Baltimore, wise line coming back down to Tampa. So I'm going to take the +4. Now, a lot of books are at 3.5, but I did find a couple books that are at 4. Right now you can get Tampa at +4 at ESPN Bet and Fanatics, both around -115. So as always, shop around. If you dare buck this public 2-week stretch where, again, the drunk guys at the bar are laughing at us. If you got the stones enough to go the other way, I am going to follow the sharp reverse line move, and we are due for a dog to bark here in a contrarian spot. So I'm going to go +4 Tampa. Again, a lot of 3.5s for both ESPN Bet and Fanatics have the 4. Now, player prop. I'm going to go Baker Mayfield over passing yards. Now, you could have gotten over 253.5 earlier today. Now you can get over 254.5 at FanDuel. But shop around because you also have some other books at 255.5, 256.5. So you tend to see, some discrepancies here when it comes to player props. But I jumped on the over 253.5 earlier today. Again, now your best number is FanDuel over 254.5. But here's my angle with Baker Mayfield. Number one, Baker Mayfield has gone over this number in 2 of his last 3 games. He threw for 325 last week. He threw for 347 a few weeks ago. Also at home. His home road splits are interesting. On the road, he doesn't go over this number quite often. At home, he's 7-2 to the over his last 9 games. The Ravens, this was kind of surprising to me. I knew they were good against the run. They're actually, I believe, number 1 in the NFL against the run. But they're dead last against the pass. They're giving up 275.7 yards per game. So if they're giving up a lot in the air, hopefully that's a benefit there to Baker Mayfield. Bucks are also a dog in a high total game. Total in this one is 50. And as a dog with high points, high point total, number 1, you're expecting a lot of offense. Number 2, if you're the dog, you got to throw the ball. Keep pace, catch up, try to have a backdoor cover if that's what it takes. But also, you kind of look at the situation of kind of maybe the game script here. Like if Tampa's smart, which I hope they are you really going to run the ball, bang your head against the wall, literally and figuratively, against the best rush defense in the NFL? I think if you're smart, you throw it, and you try to take advantage of that porous secondary. Cherry on top here, Baker, we got to have a rhythm edge. Baker over 253.5, over 254.5 now. Rhythm is predicting or projecting. We should combine those 2 words. Projection. I don't know. Split the 2. Anyway, Rhythm is predicting 268.2. So that is a nice little, 15-yard cushion. Add it all up. I'm looking for Baker to throw the ball quite a bit tonight. Let's go Baker over now 254.5, and I'm going to take that with Tampa +4. Now, to the second game. Chargers and Arizona Cardinals, 9 o'clock Eastern time tonight in the desert. Chargers come into this one 3-2. Just snapped a 2-game losing skid with a 23-16 win over the Broncos, covered as a 3-point road favorite. Meanwhile, the Cardinals 2-4. They've dropped 3 of their last 4. Just got rolled by the Packers 34-13. Did not cover as a 5.5-point road dog. I remember because I was on them. Now, what have we seen across the market for this one? Well, it's interesting because the Baltimore-Tampa game, it's pretty much been all movement toward Tampa. Chargers, Arizona, it's kind of both been back and forth because we opened this game around a pick'em. And if it's a pick'em game, obviously odds makers are saying it's a coin flip, but you got to think about, it used to be 3 points for home field advantage. It's probably more like 1.5 or 2. So you would imagine, neutral site, Chargers would be, favored by 1.5 or 2, something like that. If you kind of extrapolate what home field would be and what the current number is, or maybe they're probably like -3 if you apply the -1. Anyway, it opened at a pick. The early move was toward the Chargers. I get it. You look at Chargers' better record. Harbaugh's doing, picking up right where he left off after he left the 49ers. Arizona obviously has been bad for quite a few years. Easy play, Chargers. And again, we have these favorites and these road teams. road favorites in particular, popular teams performing very well. So basically, if you're a public bettor, you don't need the podcast today. Take the popular road favorites, Baltimore Chargers, parlay them. Again, that's what the public's saying. I'm not saying do that. Again, you can do whatever you want. But with that being said, it opened up at a pick. It got all the way up to Chargers minus 2.5 early in the week. And I was wondering, hey, do we get to 3? Is this just a straight contrarian play where I can buy low on Arizona plus 3? Well, that never happened. It never really got to 3, and now it's down to 1. So early move was toward Chargers, but all that late money is breaking back toward Arizona. Tells me we had some smart money take Arizona plus 2.5, plus 2. Now the line's down to 1. Now there are a couple of shops, I see one shop at 1.5. I see another that's juiced up like it may get to 1.5. If you're making me lean aside, I do lean Arizona here. If you can shop around and get a 1.5, obviously the hook could be critical. Also, 1.5s could be teased up to 7.5. That's a Wong teaser going through 3 and going through 7. Aside from the late movement and the contrarian play with Arizona, you also have a dog off a blowout loss. Now, this is a system that I was introduced to, when I first started working in the sports betting industry at my old job, Sports Insights, where I learned a thing or two about a thing or two. But teams off a blowout loss, actually dogs off a blowout loss, by 20 points or more, they rebound the next week to go 93 and 73 against the spread, 56%. Now, the angle there is when you lose by 20 or more, like Arizona losing by 21 to the Packers, public wants nothing to do with you. You got rolled. You look bad. Why on earth would I want to back you the next week? But actually, from a buy low standpoint, that's when you're going to find the greatest value, to buy low on those teams. Because in the NFL, it's a week-to-week league. When you get rolled, you're probably not as bad as you think. When you have a blowout win, you're probably not as good as you think. You're probably somewhere in the middle. So this is just a classic buy low on Arizona. Also, if you look at Kyler Murray, he is 27 and 16 ATS as a dog in his career, 63%. And it would be a classic buy low, sell high in terms of a dog in Arizona who didn't cover last week against the favorite tonight in the Chargers who did cover the previous week. So you add it all up, I lean Arizona. I just am a little hesitant in terms of just getting a 1 when I could have gotten a 2.5 or 2. So I'll lean Arizona. If you want to play him again, try to get the 1.5 or tease him up. But my only bet on Chargers Arizona is going to be the total. And I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I'm going to take an over. I think there's an opportunity here for this line to go, or for this total to go over. So, reason why I like the over, a couple things. Number one, we have seen it rise. It opened 43.5. It's now up to 44. I see a couple books that are even at 44.5. So it's risen, just like Baltimore-Tampa, but unlike Baltimore-Tampa, I still feel like there's some value there because we're not that far off the triggering number. I got over 44 at BetMGM. Caesars also has 44, but you do have FanDuel ESPN bet at 44.5. So again, a 24-20 game, 27 to, I'm bad at math, whatever that would be. What is that? 27-19. I gave you the wrong one. But anyway, in that situation, you're not that far off the triggering number. If I'm looking at Baltimore-Tampa, it opened 47, and now I'm 3 points off the opener. So that's just hesitant in terms of, really chasing kind of the steam there. You're close to the triggering number, so I got over 44. I really like the bet split to the over. It's only getting, at this point, 67% bets, but 86% dollars. So I don't think it's just public, but also low bets, higher dollars to the over. And then this is also interesting, because I love my primetime unders, and they haven't been that bad on Thursday and Sunday night, but on Monday night, for whatever reason, and I threw this at Jeff Schwartz, a buddy of mine who used to play in the NFL. I joined the Stormy Money Moves show today, and I asked Jeff about it. But Monday Night Football, we've seen the over go 6-2 this year. For whatever reason, there's been a lot of points on Monday night, and I was thinking to Jeff, hey, is that the extra day of game planning, of resting? He just thought it was a lot of good quarterbacks playing on Monday night, but for whatever reason, we've seen these Monday Night Football totals go over. The other angle here is that State Farm Stadium roof is expected to be closed. Remember, this used to be Glendale, I think, Stadium. But with that roof being closed, ideal conditions for offense and the kicking game. Also, you have Arizona giving up 27 points a game. So their defense hasn't been great, but they can put up points themselves. Long story short, guys, I saw this total tick up a little bit. We're not off the triggering number that far. We got a good bet split, and I think this could be an opportunity to go over. And then the cherry on top of the over is that I have a rhythm system match that says this total should be 46.8. So it's the combination of the line rising, the good bet split, and the rhythm edge that tells me, hey, let's see if we can get some points here tonight. So I'm going to go over 44, Arizona Chargers. Of course, I'll be rooting for anyone who takes Arizona, but my only play will be that over. So 3-pack tonight, can we find a way to get 2 of them? Tampa Bay +4, Baker now over 254.5, and the Chargers Cardinals over 44. Now, as I mentioned, no NHL. There's only one game. I didn't see any system matches. No NBA, but the NBA does return tomorrow. So I wanted to mention and just kind of reiterate the fact that I have 2 win totals that I'm excited to sweat in the NBA this year. The first one, Oklahoma City Thunder. If you missed it on the pod early last week, I'm on OKC Thunder over 56.5 wins. Now, I hope you guys played it when we mentioned it because now it's at 57.5. At ESPN Bet, you can get 57.5 at -110, so not a bad number. But remember, looking at how a line moved, as well as the bet splits, and then really leaning on, if you're going to go over, regardless of the sport, stability and the growth of a team, versus if you take an under, a team that has a lot of issues and a lot of new faces. Like, for example, I'm on the Patriots under 4.5 wins. I'm feeling pretty good about it right now. I didn't feel good about it after they took down the Bengals, surprisingly, in week 1. My angle there was there's a good bet split. The total had fallen, and I'm betting against a team with a rookie coach, rookie quarterback, a lot of new faces, a lot of transition. And again, I was happy to see I was like, okay, they got up 10-0 yesterday in London. I'm like, ooh, this ain't good for the win total. But then they got rolled. So I was happy to see Drake May show promise, and yet the Patriots lose for the under 4.5. But the opposite is playing an over on a team who's bringing back everybody, who's got a good core, maybe has some good offseason additions, and has good data behind them. And that team is OKC for me. Open 55.5, got bet up to 56.5. I went over 56.5 last week. Now it's 57.5 if you want to play it. But from a data standpoint, the total's ticked up. Bet splits, 82% bets, 95% money at BetMGM is on the over. So low bets, higher dollars bet split. And also, you look at a team that's just getting better each year. Over the last 4 seasons, they had 22 wins, then 24 wins, then 40 wins, then they break through with 57 last year. This is also the 5th year for Mike Deneau, who, again, I believe he was coach of the year, maybe it was last year or the year before. But you have kind of stability with the coaching staff. You have the same young core with SGA, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Dort. You bring in some good additions with Caruso and Hartenstein. I know Hartenstein got hurt, but he should be back within about a month. Caruso and Dort and these other guys play really good defense. And the OKC Thunder were top 5 in both offensive and defensive efficiency last year. So we have the data telling us it's an over, and we have stability and growth from a young core with some good additions. So that's my angle to go over OKC. Again, over 56.5 wins. If you missed it, now pretty much 57.5 is your only number. The other team that I want to mention was the Boston Celtics. This isn't as much of a data play for me as it is kind of taking position on a team that, from, the perspective of seeing how everything's going off season and kind of looking at how this team has, gotten even deeper in terms of the rotations, it's kind of a play on them to continue to play well. So I'm on the Celtics over 58.5 win total. You could have gotten plus 105. I think it's like even out a little bit, like minus 110. But what I like about this one is obviously a team who was great last year, won the NBA title 64-18. So even if you take a step back, and you're 5 games worse this year, 59 wins still cashes this over. But I'm going to look at a couple things. One, I just mentioned the kind of core and the growth of a team like OKC. Well, now Joe Mazzulla is entering year 3. Year 1, he made a lot of mistakes. Year 2, he wins the title. Year 3, even more experience. Everybody got paid. So, again, dishing out money like it's Monopoly money to Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and I don't disagree with any of these moves, but Porzingis, even though he's banged up, he'll be back probably by December. Drew Holiday, Derek White, everybody got paid. But my other angle here is motivation. And I think if you win the title and everyone gets their money, you would think, rest on your laurels. Hey, are you going to be as hungry as you were when you were making less money and everyone told you couldn't do it? Maybe the thought process is no, maybe you won't be as good. But I think there's a couple angles to still think this team will be motivated. One, Jason Tatum, He basically got benched in the Olympics. There's a big story about this, a lot of talk around Boston about it. He's trying to get his first MVP. And again, he didn't win the NBA Finals MVP. So I think there's reasons for Tatum. There's still kind of achievements for him to reach. Jaylen Brown didn't make the Olympic team. He got snubbed, and I think he was second or third team, but he's not really regarded as the one of the best players, which he thinks he should be. So I think with Tatum and Brown motivated and a really deep team, who again has a pretty good core with a really deep bench and also analytics, it kind of is frustrating if you watch the Celtics. They just shoot a million threes, but there is some proof in the pudding when it comes to 3-point shooting attempts. And actually, Mazzulla said one time, 3-point shooting attempt rate is the most important stat in basketball, which maybe it is, maybe it isn't. That was surprising to hear. But they play a very analytics game shooting the three, which I actually think does benefit them in today's NBA. So you add it all up, those are my 2 win totals that I have in pocket going into the season opener tomorrow. OKC over 56.5, now 57.5. Boston over 58.5. And tomorrow we do have Celtics and the Knicks. Right now Celtics are minus 5.5. Total did tick up. I saw 222 up to 223. So we'll see if maybe we have an over opportunity tomorrow. And then if you look at T-Wolves Lakers, T-Wolves open around minus 1.5. That line's down to 1. Do we get to a pick 'em? It looks like money might be going toward the Lakers. And we did see that total really fall. It opened as high as 225. It's down to 219. So either way, guys, we'll give it another day. But starting tomorrow, we should have some NBA to talk about, which is fine with me. And then I can't wait to re-up my Ken Palm $20 yearly subscription, probably the best value in all of sports betting, to get all that data. But I can't wait to fire it up for the college basketball season, which is right around the corner. And then NHL. I was hoping for an NHL play tonight. I was maybe thinking Tampa. The line did move toward Tampa a little bit. They're like plus 125 down to plus 115. But all my system matches are mostly on favorites, so I don't really have anything there. So I'm looking toward tomorrow, and I'm thinking we could have some betting spots in the NHL with a 16-game slate. But that about does it, everybody. Another pod here in the books, episode 145 of the All Systems Go pod, powered by Rhythm. This is the part of the pod where we wrap things up. And before I bid you adieu, I leave you with a couple things. First, I'm going to ask you to do me a big favor. Could you please give this podcast a 5-star review on Spotify or iTunes? It'll only take a couple seconds. Go to rate and review, click the 5 stars, but it would mean a lot to me to help us to grow the pod, to gain more listens, gain more credibility, rise up the charts. If there's an option to follow, click the follow button. That way it'll be in your library, and it'll populate as soon as it drops each day. You'll be the first to know. And of course, if you want to recommend it to a friend or leave a nice review, that'll be great as well. But seriously, a 5-star review, very basic, easy thing you can do to help me grow the pod. Secondly, if you enjoy these breakdowns, this style of betting, not betting based on what we think or want or hope will happen, because in the end, that's a losing strategy, but bet based on what the market is telling you, where the money is flowing. You know the old phrase, follow the money? It's important, and there's a reason for it. I would put an addendum to that and say follow the smart money, not the public money. But anyway, if this style of betting appeals to you and you want to learn more about data-driven betting, or you want to make my day, let me know you appreciate the hard work that I put in hosting this pod each day, then do me a solid and do yourself a solid, or gift it as a stocking stuffer or a present, someone's birthday. Go buy them my book, or buy the book for yourself. It's called the Everything Guide to Sports Betting. Just go to Amazon.com, type in the Everything Guide to Sports Betting, pick up a copy for you or for a friend or a buddy of yours who parlays everything. That public buddy's actually probably doing pretty well in the NFL last couple weeks, unfortunately. But chapter on bankroll management, how lines are set, how and why they move, how to read line movement, how to identify sharp action, how to go contrarian, how to place a bet in person or online, how to shop for the best line, all included in the Everything Guide to Sports Betting. So support the team, buy a copy, give it to that friend of yours who maybe is looking to start betting on sports but doesn't have any freaking clue how to start. And guess what? If you pick up a copy of the book, bring it to the sports book, I'll sign it for you, and I'll buy you a beer. And we'll sweat some games together. Or I'll get you a ginger ale. If you don't drink, that's fine too. Next, have you taken advantage of a 7-day free trial of Juice Reel or Rhythm yet? I hope you have, but if not, you can still do it now. And I'd highly recommend you do it right now. All you got to do to sign up is click the custom links that are located in the bio description of each podcast. So it'll say something like, in episode 145, Josh dishes out a 3-pack of sweats for Monday Night Football tonight and goes over a couple NBA win totals. Okay, scroll below that. Go down a little bit. You should see a couple links for Rhythm and Juice Reel, my two favorite sports betting apps, because they help me win. They're going to help you win. Rhythm, of course, for their AI-backed models and predictions for player props and best bets for game predictions. And then you also have Juice Reel with a ton of great features, including the ability to sync up your sports books to the app. That way, you bet your game in your sportsbook app. It goes right to the Juice Reel app. You'll get a running record of your performance. You can keep yourself honest, learn more about how you're doing, not just in terms of your record, but am I doing well with this versus that? Hone in on your strengths and weaknesses. But then also Juice Reel has those AI-backed best bet picks from Robo Jackson each day. You can tail those if you're interested. You also have the arbitrage opportunities, the sharp mush plays, and the breakdowns, actual bets and dollars wagered on games based upon people who have synced up their sportsbooks to the app. So both are included or include a 7-day free trial. Again, give it a shot. I think you're going to like it, and it's going to be 2 more tools to add to your data-driven sports betting toolbox. With that being said, let's wrap things up with a couple last final thoughts. 1, whether I see you at the Borgata in Atlantic City, Twin River in Rhode Island, the Brook in New Hampshire, Foxwoods or Mohegan Sun down in Connecticut, at the Encore in Boston or Plainridge Park Casino, or MGM Springfield in my neck of the woods in Massachusetts, or out in the desert where the true grinders get down, where Billy Walters sends his number runners, where the lowest juice possible is found at the South Point, or Sweatin' Sharp Contrarian plays jumping in the stadium swim pool when he cashed a big ticket at Circa. Wherever it may be, you're going to walk up to me. You're going to show me, since Friday, an Oklahoma State ticket, a Hurricanes ticket, the NHL Hurricanes. How about Elise Reed in the UFC? Biting! Auburn getting a good number. South Carolina, the Packers. Guess what? First one's on me. Next one's on you. We're going to post about the book. Sweat Sharp Contrarian plays all night long. So wish you the best of luck, everyone. Have a great Monday night. As always, remember, stay sharp, stay contrarian, bet against the public, place yourself on the side of the house. Always be with the smart money, never against it. Will smart money win every time? Of course not. There's no such thing as a lock or a guarantee, but remember, we're always playing the long game. And if we can identify that those opportunities where we can be simultaneously against the public, with the house, with the pros, flat bet, avoid parlays, and get some closing line value, if we can do that, we're going to be successful sports bettors. So enjoy the sweats, everyone. Have a great Monday night. We'll be back at it tomorrow for a big Tuesday, big NHL day. I think we have some college football tomorrow. Yeah, a couple college games, big NHL slate. We'll hit on it all in episode 146 of the All Systems Go Sports Betting Podcast, powered by Rhythm. Good luck, everybody. Have a great night.